The skies over Eastern Europe are now a battleground. Russia is launching relentless drone attacks against Ukraine, striking not just the front lines, but deep into cities and civilian infrastructure. Recently, a Russian drone crossed into Poland, a NATO member, raising the stakes dramatically. This incident brings the war to NATO's doorstep and forces the alliance to confront a new kind of threat. These drones are cheap, hard to detect, and can overwhelm air defenses by sheer numbers. The Poland incident shows how easily these weapons can cross borders, intentionally or not, creating a new reality for neighboring countries. The war in Ukraine is no longer just Ukraine's problem. It's a direct challenge to European security. The psychological impact is immense. The constant threat from above erodes morale and creates fear. When a drone enters NATO airspace, it's a test of the alliance's resolve. Russia is probing for weaknesses, seeing how far it can push before NATO responds. NATO now faces a difficult choice: deter these attacks without escalating into a wider war. The situation is evolving fast, with the risk of the conflict spilling over. The drone over Poland was a wake-up call, exposing vulnerabilities in even well-defended airspace. It forces us to consider the real possibility of direct confrontation between Russia and NATO. The world is watching to see how the alliance will respond to this new threat. The security of millions now depends on decisions made in the coming days. The era of conventional warfare is over. Hybrid threats are the new reality. NATO's response will shape the future of European security. The stakes have never been higher. In Kyiv, air raid sirens are now part of daily life. Russian drones have struck residential buildings, turning homes into rubble and tragedy. Rescue workers search for survivors amid chaos. Lives are lost, families shattered. These attacks are part of a deliberate strategy to target Ukraine's critical infrastructure: power, water, heat. The goal: make life unbearable for civilians and break their spirit. Each strike plunges neighborhoods into darkness and cold, especially as winter nears. The psychological toll is immense. No one knows where the next drone will hit. Children grow up knowing explosions better than playground laughter. The human cost is measured in trauma as much as casualties. Despite international condemnation, the drones keep coming. For Kyiv's residents, there is no escape. They live on the front line of a new kind of war. The resilience of Ukrainians is extraordinary, but it's tested daily. The world sees images of destruction, but for those in Kyiv, the horror is relentless. These attacks are a stark reminder of the price civilians pay in this conflict. The war is not just fought on battlefields, but in the hearts and homes of ordinary people. Ukraine's endurance is remarkable, but the suffering is real. The world must not look away. The fight for survival continues every day. Kyiv stands, but at a terrible cost. The war in Ukraine suddenly felt much closer to Europe. A Russian drone, launched at Ukraine, veered into Polish airspace. A NATO member. Polish military tracked the drone, but chose not to shoot it down, citing civilian safety. The drone left Polish airspace and was destroyed in Ukraine, but the incident marked a major escalation. It was the first time a Russian drone from the conflict violated NATO airspace. NATO's collective defense principle, Article 5, means any attack on one is an attack on all. While this wasn't a deliberate attack, it highlighted the risk of the war spilling over. The Polish government responded with serious concern, summoning the Russian ambassador. The event sent shockwaves through NATO's eastern flank, confirming long-held fears. For NATO, the incident is a strategic dilemma: respond militarily and risk escalation, or do nothing and invite more provocations. The alliance is now re-evaluating its air defense and rules of engagement. The drone over Poland is a test case for how NATO will defend its borders. The line between accident and escalation has never been thinner. After the drone incident, Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk issued a stark warning. He declared that the Russian threat extends beyond Ukraine, putting all of Europe at risk. Tusk's message: this is a critical moment for European security. Complacency could be disastrous. Nations on NATO's eastern border, with painful histories of Russian aggression, see the war as a direct threat to their sovereignty. The drone in Polish airspace proved the conflict is already spilling over. Tusk emphasized Russia's hybrid tactics: military force, cyber attacks, and disinformation. He called for unity and stronger coordinated defense across NATO. This isn't about one drone, it's a pattern of Russian probing and escalation. Tusk urged NATO to move beyond words, increase military spending, deploy more troops, and adapt to new threats. Drones and cyber attacks require new strategies, not just old playbooks. NATO must show unity and resolve, or risk further aggression. The alliance's credibility is on the line. The world is watching to see if NATO can adapt and stand strong. The security of the alliance depends on action, not just rhetoric. The time to prepare is now. Russia has unveiled a new weapon, the Burevestnik cruise missile powered by a nuclear engine. President Putin claims it has unlimited range and can evade all missile defenses. This missile represents a major escalation in the global arms race. Its low-altitude flight and nuclear capability make it nearly impossible to intercept. The Burevestnik could strike anywhere in the world, fundamentally changing the security equation. By boasting of an invincible weapon, Putin is sending a message of Russian strength. This development threatens the balance of power and increases the risk of miscalculation. Western military planners now face a weapon they may not be able to stop. The missile is both a military and political tool, designed to intimidate. The world is entering a new era of strategic competition. The specter of nuclear conflict is growing once again. After the drone crossed into Poland, a wave of disinformation hit Polish media and social networks. Cybersecurity experts traced the campaign to Russian sources. The goal: create confusion, sow discord, and shift blame. False claims spread rapidly. Some said the drone was Ukrainian, others called it a NATO false flag. This is hybrid warfare military action paired with digital manipulation. The campaign aimed to absolve Russia, divide Poland and Ukraine, and undermine NATO. Pro-Russian bots and accounts amplified the lies, reaching millions before authorities could respond. The incident shows how information warfare can destabilize societies as much as physical attacks. Defending against propaganda is a new challenge for NATO countries. It requires cooperation between governments, tech companies, and the public. The information space is now a key battleground. The war is fought not just in Ukraine, but on screens across Europe. Truth itself is under attack. Despite relentless attacks, Ukraine's spirit remains unbroken. The nation's resilience has astonished the world. Prime Minister Tusk notes Ukraine is prepared for a long war if support continues. The cost is immense: cities in ruins, millions displaced, and countless lives lost. The psychological scars will last for generations. Ukraine's defense depends on international aid, military, financial, and humanitarian. Western support has been vital for Ukraine to hold ground and survive. But sustaining this coalition is a challenge as war fatigue grows. For Ukraine, continued support is a lifeline. Their ability to resist and rebuild depends on the free world's commitment. Ukrainian resilience is powerful, but it cannot win alone. The fight is a partnership between Ukrainian bravery and global solidarity. The world must not let support falter. Ukraine's survival is a test of international resolve. The outcome will shape Europe's future. Beneath Russia's image of unity, internal strains are growing. The war's toll is felt not just on the battlefield, but across Russian society. Recent unrest in Moscow highlights deeper social tensions and economic hardship. Sanctions and war costs are draining the economy, while mobilization leaves gaps in the workforce. Rising prices and declining living standards fuel discontent. State media projects victory, but daily struggles tell another story. Small acts of protest, especially by soldiers' families, reveal cracks in the Kremlin's control. The government suppresses dissent, but pressure is mounting. Sustaining the war abroad depends on stability at home. Growing unrest is a vulnerability for Putin's regime. The long-term consequences for Russia could be profound. As the war drags on, a diplomatic solution remains elusive. World leaders propose different paths, but consensus is lacking. Some, like former President Trump, demand real progress before meeting with Putin. Others argue for ongoing dialogue to prevent escalation. The core issue: Ukraine insists on full territorial integrity, while Russia refuses to withdraw. This deadlock leaves mediators with little room to maneuver. The future of the conflict hangs between military pressure and diplomatic efforts. NATO and its allies must balance strength with strategy to force Russia to negotiate. Drone attacks, new missiles, and information warfare show Russia is preparing for a long fight. The world stands at a crossroads. The Western alliance must act with unity and clarity. The answer to this challenge will define Europe's security for decades. The stakes could not be higher.